Hello everybody, Donlinedude here. So, there's been some interesting developments in the worlds of TV and online shows this past week, including a new spin-off from Doctor Who, a LEGO Netflix show, and another series from ABC to add to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I was originally going to do individual reaction videos to each of these different announcements, but given that we don't know much about all of these different shows beyond the announcements that they're going to be made, I just think it's best that I react to all of them in one video. Anyway, I'm going to start with the new Doctor Who spin-off that the BBC announced, which is going to be titled Class. It's going to mark the screenwriting debut of author Patrick Ness, and as the title implies, it's going to focus on the teenage students of Coal Hill School, which, as many a Doctor Who fan knows, is a location of extreme significance to the show, having appeared in the very first storyline of the series, An Unearthly Child, back in 1963. And it recently resurfaced in the 50th anniversary special, The Day of the Doctor, and has continued to feature in the series from Series 8 onwards, since the current companion, Clara Oswald, works there as a teacher. Honestly, right now, I'm cautiously optimistic regarding this series. I said in my reaction video to The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar that I'm just not really on board with the current direction that Stephen Moffat is taking Doctor Who in, mainly because I don't think there is any direction. I just don't think Moffat seems to know what he's doing with the series anymore. And honestly, another spin-off might be more than he and the BBC can handle at this point. This also feels like kind of a weird basis for a spin-off, considering that Jenna Coleman is going to be leaving the series, and it's been confirmed, by the way, that she's not going to feature in this. And I say that's a problem because, aside from Clara, we've not had any real memorable characters that have featured at the school for Series 8. Like, I literally cannot remember any of Clara's students' names. However, based on the announcement from the BBC, I think it's safe to assume that we won't be having any holdovers from Series 8. We're going to have a brand new cast of characters. I also think that the fact that this is being chiefly written by someone else means that it has more of a chance to establish its own look and feel as a series that's separate from Doctor Who. I'm not going to pretend like I know who Patrick Ness is. I hadn't read any of his books, and I hadn't even heard of his name until I read the Doctor Who announcement. Sorry, Patrick. But I do think this series has a lot of potential, and there's even some fun ways, I think, that it can parallel Doctor Who without it coming across as being forced. Considering that the title of this show is Class, who says that we have to focus on a specific set of characters? Who's to say that when the pupil characters grow old, I assume that there's going to be like a faculty list of characters and a pupil list of characters, kind of like the BBC's Waterloo Road. But who's to say that once the pupil characters get older, they don't just leave the school or stick around in perhaps faculty roles, and we basically get to meet a new wave of students, each with their own characteristics and dynamics? I think that would be quite fun, because that would be similar to how in Doctor Who we spend a few series with a certain doctor or a certain companion, and then they leave, or in the Doctor's case, he regenerates, and we basically have to acclimatise ourselves to a new incarnation or a new companion. I just think it'd be a really fun parallel, and who's to say that these characters won't appear in Doctor Who, either as companions to the Doctor themselves, or just in a crossover between the two shows. So yeah, colour me as cautiously optimistic for Class. Next, I'm going to talk about Netflix's announcement that they are producing 2 new original series based on LEGO toy lines, one of which is Bionicle. The main reason I'm going to talk about this is because I'm a massive LEGO fan. I love collecting LEGO, and I have a particular affinity with Bionicle. I was 7 years old when it first started back in 2001, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I bought the toys, I read the comic book tie-ins, I watched all 4 of the animated direct-to-DVD films. I just felt it had a really engrossing mythology. It was kind of like LEGO's answer to Transformers, because it had this all-expansive universe and cast of characters. At least it did to me as a fan. So yeah, I'm quite excited for this, particularly since it's being done by Netflix, because Netflix aren't bound by a lot of the rules of standard commercial television. So I'll be interested to see what the tone is in particular. So the series is going to be called LEGO Bionicle: The Journey to One, and it's going to span 4 episodes. I'm guessing the title has a double meaning, because on the one hand it's about the Toa's journey to find Akimu, the Mars Maker, who's basically a god in their universe. But on the other hand, it's also about the Toa's journey to become a functional unit, their journey towards working as one. We actually have a teaser image that LEGO posted which suggests that the series is going to have a cel-shaded animation style, which I think is awesome. I love cel-shaded animation. I think it really suits LEGO, Bionicle in particular. There's been no news as of yet regarding who's going to voice the Toa, but if I could put forward any suggestions, one would probably be James Arnold Taylor to voice Tahu. James Arnold Taylor is one of my favourite voice actors. He's probably best known for voicing Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars series for Star Wars. He also voiced another Jedi Master in that series, Plo Koon, and with Plo Koon's voice he affected a sort of Ian McKellen-esque thespian British accent, and I always thought that kind of voice would really suit Tahu. So yeah, I'm actually quite anticipating this series, mainly due to the nostalgia fuel. Here's hoping it turns out to be something fun. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the reports that ABC and Marvel are developing a new comedy television series set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's going to be based on the Damage Control comics. If I'm honest, this is actually the one that I'm the most excited for. If you aren't familiar with Damage Control, then I'm just going to quickly give you a crash course. Damage Control is a fictional construction company that specialises in repairing the property damage caused by conflicts between superheroes and supervillains. Which means that this series would basically follow a group of underpaid, overworked people just cleaning up after all the Marvel heroes. I definitely think the reports are true. One, because it was Variety who originally reported it. Two, because there is actually a reference to Damage Control in the first Iron Man movie, so there's definitely precedence for them to be set up within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And three, I don't think this could possibly scream sitcom anymore. I just love the idea of all of these everyday, slightly quirky, but still relatively normal characters just standing about these, amazing battlegrounds from the Marvel films, just sort of grumbling, going about their business, complaining about like trivial things. Obviously, this would also be a great way to tie in with the films, especially considering that we've had a lot of blow everything up in the third act kind of stuff that's been happening in Phase 2 recently, like especially with Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron. I just have this image in my head of the Damage Control guys just in Washington, just fishing parts of the Insight helicarriers out of the river they crashed in. Again, there's no real intel on who's going to be starring in the series. I wouldn't be surprised if the cast is mostly of a comedic background. I do think it'd be quite cool if this series found a way of incorporating certain obscure Marvel superheroes and other characters that you just wouldn't see otherwise on film or television. D-Man actually springs to mind. I'd like to see D-Man, Dennis Dunphy. Let's bring Dennis Dunphy into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hey, we've already had Howard the Duck, so why not? There's not really much else I can say about Damage Control right now, other than I'm really excited for it. I hope it's a hit. I just think it has so much comedic potential. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Class, the Bionicle Netflix series, and ABC's Damage Control. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, because it really helps me out. And follow me on Twitter if you like. See you soon!